You know, every once in a while in your life, there's that time where you are walking down the street and you just happen to see a $20 bill or a $100 bill, or you find something valuable in public place, or you come across a game that you didn't expect to be as great as it is for the price that it is. This is one of those times. Let me tell you a little bit about Ballistic Overkill. It is an early access, and it has that Overwatch, Team Fortress, Call of Duty smell all over it. Let's start with gameplay. It has great progression system, very in-depth and thorough, and has lots of things for you to pursue in the various classes. You get experience points every match to help you progress or to make you progress, and you actually progress or level your account and your classes separately. So for example, if you were leveling the Shadow class, you could be a level 7 Shadow, but you as a person or an individual, your account would be like a level 3 or level 4. Looks like eventually there will be seasons in the game, I guess kind of like Rocket League. It looks like something they have in the works, which is pretty cool. So they have the competitive nature or element in the game. Like CSGO, there's lock boxes that you can unlock every 48 hours. There's 7 classes currently. Each has their own pros and cons, which can be further customized through weapon loadouts, skills, skins, and accessories. Game modes include Team Deathmatch, Free for All, Capture Points, and King of the Hill. There is currently 9 maps, but because this game is in early access, like I already mentioned, you can expect some of that stuff to change. I seen on their Trello that they're going to add another class, like a medic type class, and there's going to probably be more maps. So you're getting a lot of value here. Sound. Sound of the weapons are really well done, they're pretty typical for a first-person shooter game, but it works. I'm going to call that a win. The environmental spacing is very well done also. That means, you can hear ambient sounds or footsteps or gunfire in a very directional manner, so that if you put on your headphones, you can really tell where some action is coming from. There's a few levels that have poorly mixed environmental sounds though, like in the Sun Square Mall level. There's a clothing store in the middle of the map. When you walk through it, it has this absurdly loud house music playing. I don't even know why it's there or what's going on with that. But the level of sound from the music playing is so absurdly loud that it drowns out everything else in the game. They could really go back and remix the sound levels in some of the areas of the game. Speaking of audio mixing though, they could really tone down the footsteps on your own character too, because when you're running around or walking, the footsteps that your character makes is pretty loud relative to the rest of the game also. So, a few tweaks here and there in the sound department, and I think, they'll get an A+ in that department. And as far as the controls go, it's a pretty standard FPS affair. Nothing's, ridiculously special. Anybody who's ever played a FPS game will be able to pick this up and just play it. I really like the responsiveness of the controls though, the input, and the speed at which the game plays also. It's a pretty fast-paced game, and that's what makes it really fun to play. Almost has that Call of Duty type of element to it, where you feel like even if you're not doing well, you feel like you're doing well because you can get killed and instantly jump back in the match and go back to killing people. As for the performance of this game, personally I have an Intel 5820K i7 CPU with a GTX 780 and 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, and the game plays immaculately great. This is a Unity based engine game, and I have to say that I don't know what they did, but this is probably one of the best performing Unity games I've seen, bar none. Absolutely. And just to contrast that, because everybody is like AMD is a no-go on Linux, I had a friend of mine who also plays this game. You might have seen me tweeting about it with Systrom, who has an AMD 8350 clocked at 4.5 gigahertz and an AMD R9 390 with 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM. And he's using the AMD GPU Pro drivers. I don't know why that's hard to say. And his game runs just as good, if not better, on his system than it does on mine. So I don't know what these guys over at Ballistic Overkill are actually, this game was made by Aquarius Game Studio. I don't know what they did, what they tweet, or how they did it, but they did a phenomenal job in the performance department. I'm almost inclined to believe that this would play on integrated graphics on the CPU. That's how good it is. So if you're worried about performance or playing it on a laptop, worry not. Just don't worry about that. It'll play. Now for the graphics. So characters are well represented graphically, but don't really have that flair that you see in TF2 or Overwatch. There's nothing that really makes you want to like the characters, such as backstory or unique personalities. The characters themselves are unique because there's different character classes, but there's nothing that makes you want to connect to the actual character. It would be cool if they could throw some backstory into the game like Overwatch, or maybe give them individual personalities or animations like TF2 does. Nothing that's game breaking, just a suggestion. That it would be a nice added bonus. Environments are well represented graphically with plenty of color, and which is a great departure from the brown-green color palette you see in most other FPS games. Gun models are well done and fit into the game really nicely. Overall, the game has a really clean aesthetic. What I mean by this is that the textures don't really have that grimy look or any type of color filtering like you would see in Battlefield. This isn't really a negative because it really works for the game, and it's partially why the performance is so good. Now, is this game worth it? Let's see. There's no microtransactions. Oh my God, thank you. We don't need any more games with any more microtransactions. I mean, microtransactions work in certain games. In this time of day, I just feel like people overdo it with the microtransactions. So I'm happy to see a game that you can just buy and then play and not worry about buying more stuff in the game. And since it's not free to play, good, no microtransactions. Class system is pretty balanced, but it could use some tweaking. The Berserker class starts off slow but becomes a one-man wrecking ball after some leveling. Could use some tweaking, as with the maps, because the maps facilitate a natural and fair way of combat, whether it be corridor-based close quarter gunplay or the more wide-open sniping maps. But the Sun Square Mall map that I mentioned earlier, in my opinion, could use further tweaking. It's a spawn camper's wet dream, and the clothing store area in the middle becomes a major choke point, allowing snipers and noob tubers a way to rack up unfair kills just by sniping and grenading that middle area. Just a minor gripe. Not enough people play this game though. There needs to be more people playing this game. There really does. In all the matches that I've played, pretty much the same people on the servers. There needs to be a more larger player base, really. So some of the things I think that he could really do is make the game maybe free to play every 6 weeks or every so often. When the game is released in its full glory, maybe bump the price up to $20 and then have that free to play weekend drops, or kind of like what CSGO really does. Every once in a while the price drops down to $7, but make this game about $5 for a few days and then raise it back up. That way, you're not cheapening your brand by making it super cheap, because it's currently only $7, which is great for an early access game. But once it comes out, this game is good enough where I don't feel like they need to cheapen their brand. But at the end of the day, this game was thoroughly, surprisingly super amounts of fun, which is what matters most. The game is just really fun. There's plenty of variety in the character classes, progression that makes you want to come back for more, whether you're progressing your favorite class or you're progressing another class so that you can fill a position for your team, or whether you're progressing yourself as an account. There's plenty of that in there. There's plenty of guns, there's lots of weapon skins, there's all kinds of stuff to make you want to keep coming back and playing this game. And at the end of the day, the game is just stupid amounts of fun. So I highly recommend you guys go buy this. Like, really highly recommend that you guys go buy this. It's only $7 and it's available on Windows, Mac, and of course Linux. This game really needs to be shown more, and the price is really fair and the requirements to play the game are really low. This is a winning combination. So 2 thumbs up to Aquarius Game Studio for making this very solid shooter and putting the things that are good into the game and just not overdoing it. But this is my look at Ballistic Overkill, and I've been Osiris, PC Pimp, and I'm out.